welcome to the FFL Solidity team call. I'm super excited about today's guest. We have Jacob Bruns with us. Did I say that right, Jacob?
You did. That's surprising.
All right. Good, good. Give myself a little bit of credit there. So I'm super excited. Jacob, last year was your first full year in the industry, correct?
Correct.
So Jacob protected 310 families last year in his first full year in the industry, and you're on track to do even more than that this year, Jacob.
100%. I hope I do.
Where are you at for the year now?
I think I'm at 200, close to it. I think this month I should be at 200.
Awesome, awesome. And I know you told me your goal this year is to hit Hall of Fame, correct?
100%.
All right, well, you got that. You got that. So obviously, you know you're in the right place. Jacob protected over 310 families last year. But Jacob, tell us a little bit about how you actually got into the industry. How did you join Family First Life?
So my background, like I played baseball in college. I played in a JUCO in Oklahoma. After JUCO, that's 2 years. Actually, Dom hit me up on Instagram, and I was like, "Well, shoot, might as well." I mean, I wasn't committed anywhere fully yet, so I was like, "I just love making money." And Dom just hit me up and he was like, I have a baseball background too. I transitioned into sales, 12 years ago, and I'll hook you up with, free this, free that. I'll put you on a scholarship and no money out of your pocket, and we'll just teach you how to sell. And I was like, well, shoot, might as well give it a shot. And that's kind of how I started. And then, shoot, history from there.
I love that. So you just went on a limb and just trusted Dom that he was going to be able to lead, guide, and direct you to see success in this business.
Basically, yeah.
So Family First Life was the first opportunity or first career that you had out of college?
Yes, yep.
Okay, I love that. And how long did it take you to actually get licensed?
Um, let's see. Shoot, I got my course done in 3 days. I went on a trip to Greece. I took my test before I went to Greece. When I got back from Greece, I got my license, and then I started selling right when I got back. So 2 weeks.
Okay, good stuff. And
Yeah.
honestly, I know you're telling the truth because I know how Dom is and I know he set that expectation. So I know you got
Yeah.
licensed literally immediately if you were working with Dom because he don't play no
Yeah.
games.
Yep.
Um, did you see success right out of the gate, or what did that kind of look like for you getting started?
I did. I understood the long-term growth in this business. And so like what I mean by that is like the short term, I was like super I was just I was obsessed with getting good because I'm like my ego will not allow me to suck at anything. So like I was just super obsessed with like just figuring this business out, understanding how to talk to the clients, and basically that can kind of take you to, building an agency. But I was just super obsessed in the beginning with just, reaching as many people as I could because I knew I was going to suck. But I knew that if I could minimize my sucking, then I can get to like being really good at it, and then I wouldn't have to worry. So like in the beginning, it was hard. Like I was in home for the first 4 months.
Okay.
So in home it's a lot different than telesales, but out of the gate, I mean, let's just say I did 8,000 my first month. My second month I did 27,000. And
Okay.
then every month after that it was 33, 36, and then 38. So I was always like progressively getting there, but like I mean, out of college, I never seen $20,000 in my life.
Right.
Right. And third month in the business, that's pretty much how much I got, already sitting there, after leads, everything like that. So I was just like, I was so enamored by the opportunity, and I just pretty much took that into account of like, all right, I can lose this just as quick as I got it, right? Because Dom always told me, he was like, dude, you're living on interest-free loans right now, so that doesn't mean go and spend your entire 20,000. Don't go buy a new car. Don't take the fam out on vacation. Like this is where you build your business. Like this is where you get ahead because this business is so punitive. If you're not going to put yourself ahead, then you can go under very quick. And I've been on both ends of it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
all last year, I had a decent sized team, and then they all quit. There's just wasn't an opportunity for they're all young kids, and they did exactly what I didn't do. They spent all their money, and then where's the money for leads? You know what I mean? So it was just like I had a lot of adversity, but it's like I said in the beginning, I always saw the long-term growth in this thing. And I always look at Dom and you guys and Frank, Jamie, like everyone around me, and I see what they've done in, 10, 12 years. So it's like, everyone has their own path. And I think everyone that comes in this business, they try and expedite it really quick just because of everyone else that's doing it fast now. It's like, dude, just take your own time. You know what I mean? So like that for me in the beginning just kind of I fell in love with that. I was like, I can go from, year one and then 5 years later have an agency and then 10 years later I'm retired at age 30. I don't not actually retired, but I just saw that point of view. So I know that was a pretty long answer, but
No, I love that. And there was so much to unpack there. Like it
yeah,
pretty much sounds like you were just ready to embrace the suck and put the proper amount of activity in to get good quick. Like you weren't confused that there was going to be a learning curve that you were going to need to overcome.
yeah,
But you trusted yourself and the system to know that, hey, if I put this activity in on the front end, I can overcome this sooner rather than later. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of agents doing this at a high level. Like they're not special. I can do this too.
yeah, correct.
And you brought up adversity too, Jacob. What are some of the things that you do to stay in the proper mindset on the day to day?
I mindset's like 100%, like that is everything, especially in telesales. So for me, it's always been, especially waking up, because I don't know how you guys feel, but this is not the funnest thing. Like I'm 22 years old right now, and I came from baseball, being outdoors all the time, doing all these other stuff, and now I'm sitting in an office. It's not the funnest thing. So for me, like my mindset has to be like, all right, I'm doing something right. I'm helping families every day, and everyone that I'm calling, I'm putting them in a better position. So if I always have that mindset of like I'm always helping people, no matter how many times I get told no, no matter how many times I get told to F off, whatever it is, I always just come back to the fact like I have enough leads, so it doesn't matter. And I also know what the result is. I know my expectations. If I have 10 presentations, I know I should at least close five of them. So I always just have those expectations. I don't really care how many no's I get or how many people tell me to, I didn't do that, whatever it is. It's like, cool, on the next, you know? So my mindset is I try and keep it prime, but yeah, it always leaks away sometimes. Like I do not want to call anyone today, right? But you always got to come to the fact that consistency is key and keeping your mindset like 100% at all times. That's key too. So
I love that. So just put in the activity in, even especially when you don't feel like putting the activity in, right?
100%.
And it sounds like you just keep your why in front of you too.
Yeah. I had a hard time finding my why for a long time because I mean, for me, I don't have any responsibilities. I don't own a home. I don't have a car payment. I don't have, all these other, I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. I have nothing. So I always had a hard time. I was like, Dom, like, what you say this why? It's like, what is my why? It's like, yeah, like I want to take care of my parents. I want to take care of my family. But like, there's got to be a bigger thing than that too. So, I mean, my why is really, I just always think about the back to the times where I've had a hard time in this business, and I'm like, I never want to be there again. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? So I always just keep that in the back of my head, like, all right, I could have 20,000 roll up to me, and be negative with all the carriers, and then have to get out of that. You know what I mean? So I always look in my hindsight of like, I don't want that to catch up to me. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a healthy fear, I guess you could say. But that's kind of what pushes me every day. And then of course the ultimate goal is to build an agency and integrity partner and all that fun stuff. But ultimately it's just I don't want to be in that position to where I don't know what to do. I don't want to be in a position where you don't know what's next.
Yeah.
So
No, I love that.
I
I love that. And I think a lot of what you're talking about is just having gratitude for where you're at in the business. And like, it's no surprise, not to keep saying this, but that you work with Dom because Dom is so grateful. Like, Dom's the type of person, like, he could get run over by a bus and he'll just get up and be like, anyways, moving on. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
I'm not surprised at all that you feel that way. And it's like everything in this business, like all the adversities that we face, we just need to look at them as a learning experience. Like
yeah,
we had debt roll up to us. Okay, that sucked. We paid the debt. at least we're in the position that we could outright it in, 5 days, a week, a month, whatever it may be. We have that opportunity to do that. And it's like moving forward, we're not going to put ourselves in that position to have, 20 grand roll up to us again. Like we learned from it. You know what I mean? We're going to be proactive as opposed to being reactive. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
What is your, obviously, I know you said you were in the field when you first got started. So you were in the field for 4 months.
Yep.
Transition to telesales. Was that transition easy for you, Jacob?
Not really. I say not really because I had my running buddy back in the day whenever we first started. He's no longer here, but I act like he just like died or something. He didn't die, but he just left the business.
He just left the business. Okay, fair enough.
So we started like the same time. We did in-home for 4 months. He sucked. I was really good. So he transferred to telesales and did like 36,000 his first month. So I said, okay, I'm going to show you that I could do the same thing. So it was really just a really healthy competition, but also it did suck. But I had to work, 12 hours a day nonstop for the first that 30 days where I transitioned. And I did issue a lot, but it was also I had to spend a lot more on leads. Like I had to double my lead expenses. It was just it was a learning curve. It's kind of like almost relearning it, but it's more or
Yeah.
less like you just have to understand like it's the same as being in the home. You just have to be like a lot slower and a lot more deeper with your tonality to more, I guess you could say, connect on a different level because it is transactional. You know what I mean? So I had to learn that in the beginning. I did have a lot of chargebacks from that. I didn't connect on a, you know, I guess you could say spiritual, but it wasn't really emotional. It was more transactional. So it was like, hey, here's this insurance, here's that. I'm your agent for life. Here's my number. I'll call you next year. It was that type. So I had to learn along the way, and I had to adjust things and reach back out to him the next week. Hey, did you get your policy? How are things going? So I was always evolving through that, but yes, it was a massive learning curve. It was just like starting fresh, but it was fun, and it still is. It still is because you just got to look at all the no's. You're like, I'm gonna get told f off all day long, but shoot, if I get 2, 3 yeses, that's 2, 3 grand. So who cares? That was my mindset going into it.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's so important, like, because I was in the home too. And then
Yeah.
more recently, I've been doing telesales, and it's like, it's completely different because when you're in the home, it's like, it's so easy to a lot like for a client to trust you. But then when you're doing things on the phone, it is a lot more transactional, but it's like you still do need to have them trust you. And there's the chance that someone could come behind you and right over your business or whatnot. What are some of the ways that you solidify your sales, Jacob, to keep your persistency high?
What I do a lot is, I mean, at the end of the call outs, we're done the application, and after they're approved and everything, then I just sit there and say, okay, congratulations, you're approved. What's going to happen now is you're going to get that policy in the mail. It takes about 7 to 10 business days. Whenever you get that policy in the mail, I just want you to write my name, my number on the front of that policy packet. Because I always use this. I say what my grandma did for my mom is that when she passed away, she had the insurance company's name, the insurance company's number on a piece of paper to where my mom could find it super easy. She called the number, she got the death claim right there. So I always tell that story just to make it a little bit more personal, but also more
Right.
emotional. Like, okay, that sounds good. Like that means like they can call you as soon as I pass away. So it's a lot more connected. So I always say that. And then I say, and then I'm going to give you a call as soon as you get that policy. Like I said, should take about 2 weeks. So I'll give you a call then, just check in on you, make sure everything's accurate. If you need to make any changes, need to, increase the coverage, maybe whatever it is, then we can always do that within the first month. But other than that, I'm your agent for life. So that can be a good thing or bad thing. Just put me in there as the coolest insurance guy ever. And I just keep it a little corny, but also kind of make them remember me. Because I
I
always like
love
calling,
that.
I like calling them, and then they're like, "Oh, you're the coolest insurance guy ever." Then it's like, okay, they remember me from something. So you just got to
Right.
find something they can remember you by, just so next time they think about canceling or switching cut, whatever it is, they're like, "Oh, this is Jacob, though." So I just try and keep it that way.
I love that. And then so you're following up with them a few weeks after that too, just to make sure that they actually got the physical policy in the mail.
Correct. Correct.
And after you make a sale, Jacob, are you sending them any sort of like summary information or anything like that? Like, what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, so I shoot him a text message. I got my phone stolen, so I would show you, so I can't. But I shoot him a text message that says Jacob Bruns. It has my national producer number, and then it says company. It says coverage amount, premium, and draft day. And I just send this all in a text message, and that way they can kind of see like a physical of like, okay, this is what we actually applied for. It's not the actual hard copy, of course, but this is something that at least they can see that it's tangible. Like, okay, I made this purchase, not whenever it gets drafted out of their account, they're like, what the heck is this? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I do that, and I just say, hey, I'm your agent for life. Congrats. It was a pleasure being able to help you. If you need anything else in the future, just don't hesitate to reach out. So I kind of, create a friend at that point.
I love that. I love that. And have you started utilizing Legacy Safeguard at all?
1000%. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but how are you pitching that to the client during the sale? Like, how are you framing that?
So I can show you this on my um client worksheet. This was the one I got when I first started. But it says down here at the very bottom, it says, "Do you have a will?" I don't know if it has it on yours, but it
Yep.
says, "Do you have a will?" Like down there. So I always just kind of implement that of like, okay, hey, do you have a will? Do you have a living will? They're like, yes or no. I mean, a lot of times they say no.
Right.
So I always just implement it right there. So like right after the financial inventory, I'm like, okay, cool, you don't have a will, or hey, you do have a will. You know, what's great with all of our plans, they all include it's called Legacy Safeguard. Okay, it's a free program to use, so I'm not trying to upsell you anything. But what it does is just for end of life things like, you know, estate planning, survivorship benefits, like whenever you pass away, what's going to happen next? What are your kids going to do? What's your husband going to do? What's the wife going to do? Whatever it is, like these things need to be made clear so you're going to have access to all these things, the lawyers, you can do a trust, whatever you need to do. But I just say you have access to all this for free. That's with all of our products that we use, right? So what I do is I just send them an email and then sends out to their mail. And typically what happens then builds a lot more trust, a lot more credibility, but
Right.
also you get a lot more premium from it. Like after I did it to this one lady, she was like, "Well, shoot, if it comes with that, I might as well just spend what I would if I got Legacy Safeguard at a price." So I was like, I'm gonna spend 50 extra dollars on my insurance just because I get that. You know what I mean? So it's super useful. It it helps your persistency, especially with final expense. You know how that
Right.
is. So yeah, it's massive. That's been massive lately. So
I
that's
love
kind of how
that.
I done it.
No, I love that. And that's huge. If you're not utilizing Legacy Safeguard, please start utilizing it with all of your clients. It's also going to help you get referrals too. And if you have any questions about that, just feel free to reach out to me after this call. But Jacob, when you're sending the Legacy Safeguard membership information, are you doing that like right after the sale? So then they just get that email to go start going through the registration process and whatnot?
Correct. Yeah. So I just do it right after we finish the application and I bring them back to, hey, do you remember that legacy safeguard that we were talking about earlier? And they're like, yeah, all right, cool. Does that like interest you at all, or do you not want that? It is free. And they're like, oh yeah, 100% I want it. It's free. I said, okay. So I just shoot them an email right there and like, hey, did you get that? They're like, yeah, all right, cool. You're gonna get a membership card in the mail as well. So just make sure you keep a hold of that. And then, like I said, if you have any questions, like if you do want to set up a trust, contact lawyers, things like that. If you need help with that, just let me know and I can 100% do that for you or with you rather. So I just bring it up at the end of the sale, just more solidifying it.
I love that. I love that. And are you asking for referrals at all in your sales?
Um, I want to lie to you and say yes, but no.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Moving on then. Fair enough.
No.
Um, no worries. I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah,
Jacob, what's you write what about $40,000 a month on average?
yeah, yeah,
All final expense?
yeah, yeah,
What does your schedule look like and lead flow look like? Like, what does the day-to-day look like for you?
for sure. So I get 75 to 80 final expense leads a week.
Okay.
Just coming in automatic. I don't even look at it. I just get new leads every day. All right. So I strictly one call close. I don't set appointments because final expense I don't even want to get into it. But yeah. So I just do strictly one call closes. I'll start at 8 a.m., go till we have a strict schedule. We do 8 a.m. to noon. And then from noon to 2, that's like everyone in the office gets the heck out of the office because no one likes to be in an office all day cooped up. So we say go out on a jog, go to the gym, do whatever you need to do, and then get back at 2. We do more sales training. At 3 p.m. we do from 3 to 7. It's just straight one call closes. And then from 7 we're doing team building and stuff like that. It's from 7 to 9. So that's kind of every day. But I'm strictly one call closing. I don't set appointments. I just whatever leads come in every day. I'm calling the freshest ones first.
Okay.
Get low hanging fruit there. And then if I run through all those, I'll just go up to the top. It could be from 2 months ago, but I'm running back through all those. And typically I'll get, someone that I just never picked up. They'll just pick up. Wasn't the right time back then. It's the right time now, 2 months later. And typically I pick up an extra policy or two throughout the week doing that.
I love that. I love that. So, Jacob, if you call me and I'm driving, are you just going to call me back? So you're not going to
Yeah.
even try to set an appointment? Okay.
I typically ask them. I don't say set appointments like at a specific time. If you're like driving, I'm like, hey, I hear you're driving in the background. What do you think like the latest you'll be back home is? And then if it's 5 p.m., 6 p.m., sweet. I'm gonna give you a call like after 6:30. I'm not gonna
Got
tell them
it.
I'm gonna call you at 6:30. I'm not gonna tell you I'm gonna call you at 6 because then if they are expecting it, I don't want them to ignore it. Right. So I'm gonna call them after 6:30. If it's at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., if it is at 6:30, then if they pick it up, cool. But I just don't like setting appointments because it's always like a false sense of, oh, I booked that appointment. Oh, I got a appointment to look forward to. It's like, no, that never works out. It could, but 99 times out of 10, it doesn't. So I
Mm-hmm.
just like one call closing, letting them know around the time I'll call them. And then I just hopefully catch them off guard and they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember now. So that's worked for me in the past, you know, ever since I've been doing telesales. So that's that's
I
what
mean,
we
it,
stick
it seems like it's working if you're
with.
writing, $40,000 a month. So I'm not mad at it. When you're actually going through the application process, Jacob, with the client, how are you setting, like, before you start the actual application, for example, are you letting them know like, hey, I'm going to need your driver's license, social, bank info, or are you just kind of going through the app and then asking as the actual application asks? Like, how are you setting that up?
Depends on the person. So I
Okay.
really like whenever I do these one call closes, I pretty much find out like within the intro of like I can kind of feel them out. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have experienced that as well, but it's more or less like, hey, if I tell them to go grab a pen and paper and they're like, no, I don't feel like it, then I already know from there. It's like, dude, do you think they're going to give me their social, their banking, like all these other things that they can't even get up and get a piece of pen and paper?
Right.
Obviously, if they're wheelchair, they're disabled, I understand. I'm not going to hold it against them. But I've learned from the past that whoever gets the pen and paper, I'll stay on the phone with them. Whoever doesn't get the pen and paper, I'll stay on the phone with them for a lot shorter time. I typically give them 5 minutes. And sometimes I'll get to like, hey, what's your monthly income? Why do you need to know that? Then I'm like, all right, see you later. I'm going to move on to the next person. You're never going to trust me. Doesn't matter what I do. You know what I mean? So I just found out throughout my whatever how many appointments I ran that if someone can grab a pen and paper, if they're cooperative, if they're moving along, having a conversation with me throughout the appointment or throughout the one call closed, you could say, then that's where I'm kind of all right. I don't even tell them prior to the application. I just say, hey, have you ever bought a car? Or have you ever gone to the dealership, bought a car? They're like, yeah. All right, cool. It's the same thing as that. They don't check your credit, which is good for you. They check your health. All right, so super simple. They're like, all right, cool. I don't really tell them, here's social. You got to get out your social, got to get out your banking, all these different things. Um, but if I do sense someone that I'm going to waste time going throughout the application and then have to stop at the social, it's kind of hit or miss. I should do it every time, but we're still working out kinks. But then I'm like, all right, so throughout the application, that this is what they're going to require, social, driver's license, things like that. And that kind of alleviates like, oh, I'm not comfortable giving you that. Then I don't have to go through the app. You know what I mean?
Right.
To just kind of alleviate its waste of time. But throughout thousands of appointments I've done, I've found that I typically build a big enough rapport with the person that I don't typically have to tell them what's going to happen on the application. They kind of understand it.
Right.
Um, but that's kind of what I've been doing.
I love
keep,
that.
keep it
I love
simple.
that. Right, exactly. In your sketch, so if you're in an office, obviously.
Yeah.
Have you been in an office since you started?
Uh, not all the time because I was in Oklahoma when I started, because that's where I'm from, and then and then I moved to California with Dom for 6 months, and
I
now
thought you were in California before. Okay, I didn't know if I
yeah,
was tripping. Okay,
yeah. I moved to California with Dom for 6 months, and I moved back to Maryland with Frank and Jamie. I don't live with them, but out here to Maryland. This is where I was born, actually. So I
got
moved
it.
out here, and I've been here for like 3 or 4 months. But everywhere that has an office, I've been in it. You know what I mean? I cannot work from home. I will not work. I don't care what you guys say or how you guys do it. I cannot work at home. So, yeah, I'm always in the office.
What do you think some of the benefits to utilizing the office spaces in whatever area you're in have been?
Just the people. I mean, the culture. If there's people in there, but you can create your own if there's two people. I know some offices aren't packed.
I love
Um,
that.
but it's really just about not necessarily feeding off of each other, but feeding off of each other. Their energy. If someone just made a sale, shoot, I better make a sale or else I'm going to be zero on the board. We're always keeping track of our numbers, keeping track of sales, just a healthy competition. But also, if the energy's high, it's like, why would you sit there and not dial if everyone else is dialing? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it just holds you more accountable, but also puts you in an actual work environment. Like I'm sorry, I can't work in my pajamas at my home office and just sit there, half naked. I can't do that. So office has just made me a lot more productive.
I love that. I love that. And you said so there's daily training from 7 to 9?
Yeah, yeah. So we do if I had my phone, I'd show you. But it's and I can send it to you guys if you want it. But it's 6 a.m. workout, and then from 6 to 7, that's working out, and then from um 7 to I believe 8, 7 to 8, that's like sales training prior. So we'll
Okay.
be okay. If you have any objections that you couldn't overcome, or whatever it is, whoever has questions, and we all kind of collaborate and just help. If we need to do like script trainings, if we do anything like that, then that's what we do prior. And then we start dialing at 8 a.m. and then we go to noon. And then from noon, then we go um, have a free for all at noon. But yeah, the training is pretty much just script, things like that. Nothing like crazy. But from 7 p.m. to 9, then that's when we do like recruiting. So we'll just all get in a huddle, and like whoever, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, we'll just send messages, and just kind of talk to each other about like, hey, what should we say to this person? Like, hey, I know this person. Just kind of all collaborate, just so we can build together rather than being alone, because that's terrible. Don't ever do that.
And it just holds you more accountable. No, I love that. So like Jacob, you've been consistently writing $40,000 plus a month now for some time, and you're still plugging into the trainings. I always see you at events. Are you plugging into the like all you plug into the Zoom,
Yeah.
and you're being held accountable to recruit every day too. So what does that kind of look like for you for everyone rather from those hours from 7 to 9? Like what are you how many messages are you sending? What are you saying? Who are you trying to reach? Like things like that.
So we typically, because we're all young guys in the office, so it's like, hey, I know you have friends. If you don't have friends, then you're weird. No, I'm kidding. But I know you have friends, like people, old colleagues, old people that you went to school with, college, whoever it is, like someone that you think could, possibly succeed in this business. And even if they can't succeed, then introduce us to people that they think that they can succeed. You know what I mean? So just go through someone else to kind of like Trey Honeycutt, because he says, hey, let's plant the seed and like just take people from not knowing about FFL to knowing about FFL,
Right.
right? So we're just always planting the seed, like texting, like let's just say, for example, old roommates, whatever it is, college old roommates, like, hey, this is you. I would say, hey, what's up, Christina? I'll just use you for example. Hey, what's up, Christina? I know it's been a while. I don't know what you got going on now. You might have seen my stories lately about, selling life insurance. Our company is actually hiring now. We have way too many like leads available, but not enough agents. So their pay is really super good. So if you like want to, if you're interested in this, then I shoot them over a video. Just check this thing out and just get back to me. And if actually you know anyone, I don't know if it's the right fit for you or not, but if you know anyone that fits these attributes, like hey, if they're what is it, hospitality, um, motivated, and just hardworking, just three things that like we want, just three attributes that we want, then that's what we send to them. Like hey, send them our way. Watch this video, send them the video, and we're always just introducing people to the opportunity. We're not
Mhm.
necessarily trying to like, hey, please sell life insurance with us. It's more or less just introducing them to like, hey, if you want to make extra money outside of what you're currently doing, like let me lead you,
I love
So
that. I love
yeah.
that. And what video are you sending, Jacob? Are you sending like a
The
short company overview or?
Yep, that the one on the gateway.
Got it. Got it.
Yep.
So if you don't know and you're watching this call, when you log into your Gateway account, there is a specific recruiting link that you have there that you can send out to potential recruits. So it's like a 5-minute video of Sean Mike pretty much going over the opportunity. That's perfect to send to people that you think could possibly be interested in learning more about the opportunity.
Yep.
I love that. And Jacob, you talked about posting on social media. So you're constantly, consistently posting on like your story, on your Facebook pages, things like that.
Yeah, typically, I mean, I kind of just I mean, we feed off of everyone. Whoever's posting like this content, Frank posts everything every day. So I do a lot of reposting. I
Okay.
mean, I'm going through people like, hey, because Frank always posts like testimonials, so it's like, this client, this person did, paid 2,000 in leads and wrote 13,000 in print, whatever it is. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
lot of testimonials. So always just reposting those on my story. And then also I've been recently posting on TikTok. We'll see how that goes. I've never been like a huge social media guy, but we're just kind of testing the waters, just see how that goes. But I really do a lot of reposting because I mean, shoot, why do I have to make up something new? Same thing with this business. You know what I mean? It's like, why do I have to make up something new when someone's already doing it and I can just use their stuff? And there's so much more content from everyone else than just myself. You know what I mean?
Right. I love that. I love that. It's so much easier when everyone's doing it collectively. And
Yeah.
it's like someone may be watching your story, but they may not necessarily resonate with you, but they might resonate with, Frank or someone in your office. You know what I mean? And they would be like, wow. Cause it's like when you're posting about yourself all the time, it's almost like people just think that you may be special. Like Marisa is a perfect example. Not that Marisa posts about herself all the time, but people always look at Marisa and they're just like, oh no, Marisa's just really good at what she does. Because Marisa's been writing at such a high level for so long, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like when Marisa's posting about agents within the agency, it makes it more real. Like, oh wow, Jordan writes at a high level, Heather writes at a high level, Afro writes at a high level. It's not just Marisa. Like maybe I can do this too. So it's like I love that. I think reposting is key when you want to be recruiting. You just want to consistently be posting. That's the key. There's like, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. So it's
Yep.
like reposting is amazing. Definitely. If you're not capitalizing on reposting, go follow a couple Family First Life pages, follow our agency page and just start posting. Just share good news. Share good news about the opportunity and you're just going to start reaching people. And I think one of the things that you need to recognize about recruiting is like it's different in than the selling side in the sense of like when you're selling, you can write Miss Mary a policy today and you can have a deposit in your bank account by Monday, right? Like with recruiting, it looks different. Like Jacob might message John today, and John, it just may not be the right time for him. But what's going to happen is John's going to start watching Jacob's social media. And in 3 months from now, maybe he decides he hates his job. He's going to reach out to Jacob, or he's going to have a friend, Harry, that wants to get into life insurance and he's going to tell Jacob. So it's like just what like Jacob said, just sharing the opportunity with people consistently. You're just essentially you're just making your own drip. So it's like if you want to build an agency, that's all it comes back to. You want to just be sharing the opportunity consistently with people. So I love that. I absolutely love that. Jacob, any advice for someone new or seasoned in the business that just isn't necessarily getting the results that they want?
Uh, as Sean Mike always says, work harder. No, I'm kidding. It is work harder, really. Um, I mean, you always have to look at this business like you understand your numbers, and like John Wetmore is such a big numbers guy, and I asked John Wetmore when I first started about the numbers, like how does he do his numbers? How do you calculate these things? Like John Wetmore breaks it down to like each dial, this is how much you're getting paid per dial you make,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you break down your numbers and actually look at them and understand like every dial that you make, you're making money. So why would you not dial as many times as you could freaking every single day? Because
Right.
what happens if you keep dialing every day, you're eventually people are gonna pick up the phone. You're gonna do presentations, and you're probably gonna realize like your presentations are probably gonna skyrocket the more dials you make. That's just how it goes. You know what I mean? So I always looked at that part of like how many dials can I make? How many presentations can I get? And out of those presentations, how many closes can I get? And as time goes on, that number will always increase. But just starting out, just focus on that. I always say, how many dials can I make? And then move on to how many presentations can I make? And then move on, how many sales can I get? As time goes on, I always just kind of do it in increments, right? So just starting out, $500 a day. And what I was always told is like, hey, you can do 500, do 1,000 dials in one day, see how it works out. And then you can kind of base off of that. Obviously, you don't want to do 1,000 dials every day. I mean, you could if you're crazy, but do what you want. But that's kind of where I go off of. I am a big numbers guy, but it's also, I always just have short-term goals. If it's, hey, can I close two policies today? Can I close one policy today? Just starting off. Or if you're just starting, then it's like, how many presentations can I get? How many no's can I get? So when I first started, I said if I can get through my first 100 appointments as fast as possible, no matter the outcome, no matter how much money I made, how much money I spent, if I can get through the first 100 appointments, then I can alleviate the learning curve. I can understand the carriers. I can understand which one to go with, like where to go, what do they qualify for. I can understand everything about this business in 100 appointments, right? So if you can knock out that, then you'll be good from there. You know what I mean? So it can take you 3 months to get 100 appointments done, or it can take you, 15 days. So I always looked at it like that. I was like, if I can get this knocked out, then that's what I'll start doing. So that's kind of how it works, 8,000, then 20, and then 30, then 30. So that's kind of new agents. That's what I would 100% recommend. Look at your numbers, track them.
I love that. And it's so true. After your first 100 presentations, like there's going to be nothing that you haven't seen or heard. Like
Correct.
you're going to feel like a new person. All that anxiety is going to be gone. So I absolutely love that.